He just drank the same tea every morning for 40 years. But when his own daughter called the court on him, what happened next shocked everyone who thought they knew what love looks like. I used to believe mornings were sacred. You know, one of those last reliable rituals left after 70. Stretch your back, groan like a door hinge, then waddle to the kitchen and make the drink. I called it that, with reverence. Black tea, lemon wedge, drop of honey. Nothing fancy, just perfect. My morning ceremony. The one thing that still made me feel human. For over 4 decades, I started every day with that same mug. But apparently, my daughter Kelsey decided that made me a danger to myself. This madness began, like most tragedies in a retiree's life, with good intentions. I'd just helped my elderly neighbor Grace unclog her gutters. She's 92, blind in one eye, but still insists on living alone in her creaky 2-story house like a war hero. And her sons? All 3 of them live within an hour and haven't shown up since Obama's first term. So, I climbed that ladder, scooped out dead leaves, a soggy bird's nest, and what I sincerely hope wasn't a bat. I came back home soaked, sore, and smelling like a swamp. And there she was, Kelsey, my only child, my surprise for the day. She was standing in my kitchen, arms folded, lips tight, the dad, we need to talk, pose. "You're still drinking that tea?" she asked, like she caught me cooking meth on the stove. "Nice to see you too," I muttered, reaching for a towel. "Dad, it's dehydrating you. You keep getting lightheaded, and this stuff messes with your meds. I sent you that article. Did you read it? Now listen, I've survived 4 car accidents, 1 mild heart attack, a kidney stone the size of a walnut, and 2 Bush presidencies. And somehow, tea is what's going to take me out." She went on about cortisol levels and heart rates, like a medical podcast I never subscribed to. "Maybe you'd feel better if you actually listen to people who care about you," she said. "I do listen," I replied, "just not when they're scolding me in my own kitchen." She sighed, that deep, tragic exhale only adult children can master, the kind that says you're impossible, but I'm a saint for loving you anyway. That was Monday. Tuesday, things escalated faster than I could brew a cup. At 10:17 a.m., a knock on the door. 2 men in business casual, one holding a clipboard. I knew the type. Either insurance or a government branch so obscure they make their own badges. "Mr. Whitman?" the taller one asked. "Depends. Who's asking?" "We're from Senior Wellness and Support Services. Your daughter submitted a health and safety request." "A what now?" They walked in like they owned the place, didn't even ask, started poking around like I was a hoarder who kept raccoons in the oven. Clipboard man asked if I felt disoriented in the mornings. "Only when strangers start auditing my furniture," I said. He didn't laugh. They never do. They noted down everything: the rugs, the stair rail, my questionable dietary habits. And when they found my tea stash, you'd think I had heroin in the cupboard. "Caffeine can be dangerous," one of them said, "especially mixed with antihypertensives." I just stared. "You ever try waking up in this body without caffeine? I'll take my chances, thanks." They left with plastic smiles and solemn nods, promising to follow up. That night, Kelsey called. "You humiliated me," she snapped. "You sent strangers into my house," I said. "Next time, just call the FBI and save us both some paperwork." "You're being irrational." "No, I'm being 72. There's a difference." Click. "No, love you, Dad." "No, thanks for cleaning bird poop off Grace's roof." Just silence. That night, I made myself a double cup of tea and sat in the dark with the windows open, letting the spring air remind me I was still free. Sort of. Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m., knock again. This time, it's a woman. Mid-30s, glasses, name tag. You know the type, half social worker, half warning label. "Mr. Whitman," she said, polite but firm, "we received a priority referral. I'm here to discuss assisted care options." I stood there in my robe, tea in hand. "You do know this is my house, right?" "Yes, of course. But there are concerns about your daily habits and independence." "Daily habits?" I echoed. "Like breathing? Or like drinking something that's kept me alive longer than your career?" Again, no laughter. Just a clipboard. Always the clipboard. "You think you know disrespect when someone forgets your birthday? Or when your doctor suggests cutting back on salt, like that's not the last joy left. But let me tell you something. Nothing prepares you for the moment your own child files a complaint because you drink tea. They don't see it as betrayal. They call it concern. But concern without conversation? That's just control in a nicer dress." By Thursday, my neighbors had started to whisper. "Poor Harold," they said. "I heard his daughter thinks he's losing it." Grace even baked me cookies, like I'd been diagnosed with loneliness. You know what's funny? I helped that same daughter pay off her student loans. I co-signed her first car. I held her through her divorce. But none of that mattered, apparently. Not when tea was involved. I wish this was a comedy. I wish I could say I overreacted. But when your own blood sees your independence as a problem to fix, it stings deeper than any arthritis. To be continued. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how it all unraveled. You ever feel like your life's being managed behind your back? I woke up Thursday morning to the sound of my landline ringing. Yes, I still have one. Yes, it works. And yes, it was Kelsey. Again, calling before 8 a.m., which, in my experience, is never a good sign. No one calls you that early unless someone died or someone's about to make your life miserable. "Dad, I scheduled an appointment for you. You need to see Dr. Levin again. He'll do some blood work, check your medication, and maybe we'll adjust your morning routine." My morning routine, like I was an appliance that needed recalibration. "Why don't you just tattoo a QR code on my back and upload me to the cloud, Kelsey?" I replied. She didn't laugh. "Of course not. You're being difficult again." "Difficult? I'm not the one calling pre-sunrise to micromanage someone else's kidneys." That didn't land either. She sighed. That disappointed exhale again. I swear, one of these days that sigh is going to register as a seismic event. "I'm just trying to make sure you're okay." "Then come over, bring some muffins, and sit on the porch with me. That would make me okay." No reply. Just another pause and a clipped, "Talk soon." By noon, the doorbell rang again. This time it wasn't strangers in khakis. It was my son-in-law, Josh, a man who could talk for 30 minutes about proper tire pressure, but somehow never found 5 seconds to say, "Thanks for raising my wife." He walked in with the confidence of someone who had something to prove, and no qualifications to prove it. "Kelsey's worried," he said, sitting down uninvited. "She says you've been combative." "Combative?" I raised an eyebrow. I used sarcasm. "If I were combative, you'd be wearing a dent in that shiny forehead." He blinked, trying to figure out whether I was joking. Spoiler, I wasn't. "She asked me to check your pantry." "My pantry?" He got up and opened it like it was a crime scene. Picked up a box of Earl Grey like it was a weapon. "This stuff again? What is it with you people and my tea? Did it run over your dog in a past life?" Josh shook his head. "Look, I'm not the enemy here. We're just trying to help." "You're trying to control," I said. There's a difference. He left 20 minutes later with nothing but a bruised ego and a granola bar I gave him to shut him up. I watched him walk to his SUV and make a phone call before he even buckled his seatbelt. You ever get that feeling in your chest? Like something's happening, and you're the last person to be told? That was me, standing in my living room in socks with a gut full of dread and a mug of dangerous tea cooling in my hand. Friday brought the real gut punch. I was sitting on the front steps, minding my business and feeding peanuts to the blue jays when a courier pulled up with a manila envelope. "From your daughter," he said with a pitiful half-smile, like he was delivering divorce papers. Inside, a printed document titled, "Request for Guardianship Evaluation." I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. For a second, I thought it was a prank. But no, it was real, legal, signed. Kelsey wanted the court to evaluate whether I could live independently, because I drink tea, because I said no to a doctor visit, because I wouldn't roll over and let them babysit me into oblivion. I've faced war veterans, angry raccoons, and one ex-wife, and none of them made my stomach drop like this piece of paper. I sat there staring at the signature. My daughter. My own daughter. Filing papers behind my back, trying to take control of my life while telling me it was out of love. They always say it's love when they take your keys. I called her, straight to voicemail. I called again, left a message. "Hey, Kelsey, I got your little envelope. Classy move. If you want to control me, at least have the decency to show up and say it to my face. Not through lawyers, not through Josh. You want to know if I'm sane? Let me save you the court fees. I'm fine. I just want to live and drink tea and not have my family treat me like I'm already dead." I didn't sleep that night. I sat up rereading that form over and over. The phrases bled into each other. Questionable decision-making, risk factors, potential cognitive decline. I memorized them. They burned. Saturday morning, I woke up to silence. Not even the birds were chirping. It was one of those mornings where the air feels thick, like it's warning you. I made my tea, held the mug in my hands, and stared at it. They made me doubt it. That little thing that gave me peace? They'd poisoned it with paranoia. Was it really making me sick? Had I gotten that old? I Googled the ingredients. I read medical journals. I spent 3 hours buried in PDFs and snake oil articles, trying to figure out if my morning drink was a death sentence. Turns out, mixed evidence, like everything else in medicine. Some studies say tea helps. Others say it hurts. But you know what all of them agree on? Stress will kill you faster than any cup of tea ever could. And nothing's more stressful than being watched like a child by the people you raised. By Sunday, I'd had enough. I went to church. Not because I'm particularly religious, but because it's one of the few places left where people still shut up for an hour and let you think. Grace saw me there and hugged me like I'd survived a car crash. "I heard," she whispered. Of course she did. People love a scandal, especially when it involves someone who's supposed to be sharp for his age, losing it over a cup of tea. I drove home slowly, parked in the same crooked way I always do, sat in the car for 20 minutes with the window cracked open. My hands clenched the steering wheel like it might fly away without me. I had a decision to make. Let them run the show, or fight. Because it was never about the tea. Not really. It was about control, autonomy, dignity, and maybe, just maybe, it was time to show them I wasn't finished yet. This is it. The moment everything shifts. You're standing at the edge of the storm. Don't miss what happens when I stop being nice and start pushing back. You ever notice how quickly concern turns into a weapon? It was Monday when the letter came from the court. Not a phone call, not a visit, a letter. Cold, impersonal, clinical, summoning me for a psychological evaluation. I held the envelope in my hand like it might bite me. Apparently, they wanted to assess my cognitive function, make sure I understand the risks of my choices. In other words, see if I was still qualified to run my own damn life. Let me tell you something about humiliation. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it walks in quietly through the mailbox and slaps you in the face with polite font and legalese. I sat there with that letter on my lap, staring at the steam rising from my mug, my usual morning drink, now labeled evidence. For the first time, I didn't drink it. Tuesday, Kelsey showed up, unannounced. She let herself in with the key I gave her back when she used to bring banana bread and stories about college. This time, no hugs, no smile, just that clipboard face again. You got the letter? Oh, I got it, I said, standing in my living room like a defendant on trial. Didn't even need to open it. I could smell the betrayal through the envelope. Her expression tightened. Dad, this isn't personal. Really? You file for legal guardianship over me? But it's not personal? It's about safety. No, I snapped. It's about control. You don't like that I live alone. You don't like that I won't switch to kale smoothies. You don't like that I have one damn ritual that doesn't meet your approval. She sat down like a judge. You're being dramatic. And you're being arrogant, I said. You think love means managing. That parenting in reverse is your sacred duty. But guess what? I'm not ready to be managed. We stared at each other for what felt like a week. You're drinking something that spikes your heart rate, she said finally. You mix it with blood pressure meds. That's not independence. That's stubbornness. And what happens when you decide I'm too stubborn to live in this house? Gonna sell it behind my back and move me into some supportive community with bingo nights and scheduled bathroom breaks? She didn't answer. Didn't have to. That night, I didn't sleep. Again. But this time, I didn't just sit in the dark. I got up, grabbed my old briefcase, dusty as hell, pulled out every paper I had left, insurance, deeds, medical records. I read through every line, marked everything Kelsey might try to use against me, circled things in red ink like I was preparing for war, because that's what this had become. This wasn't about tea, or even health. This was a quiet battle for the right to be me. By Wednesday morning, I was ready. Or so I thought. The court-appointed evaluator came right on time. A woman in her 40s with a calm smile and a notepad that probably cost more than my car. Mr. Whitman, she said sweetly, we're just going to have a friendly little chat. Friendly. Like a firing squad with nice manners. She sat across from me at the kitchen table. Asked about my routine, my medications, my eating habits. Then came the kicker. What would you say your daughter's main concerns are? I laughed. Actually laughed. Her main concern is that I'm not dead yet, but I'm not passive enough to comfort her. She paused. Would you say you feel persecuted? Lady, I feel like the last VHS tape in a Netflix world. She scribbled something. I leaned forward. Let me ask you a question, I said. How many cups of tea does it take before I'm declared incompetent? She blinked. I'm not here to judge you. Of course not. Just to decide whether I should be allowed to microwave my own oatmeal. The rest of the interview went downhill from there. That afternoon, I got a call from Josh. I heard the meeting didn't go well. Wasn't aware you were on the guest list. I'm just saying, maybe tone it down. Play it safe. Let them see you're reasonable. Oh, I'm reasonable, I said. but I'm also done being polite while people plan my funeral with spreadsheets. He exhaled through his nose. Classic Josh. You know Kelsey's not trying to hurt you. No, I said. She's trying to protect a version of me that doesn't exist. One that's weak and dependent and easier to manage. She doesn't see me, just the fear of losing me. And that fear makes people do stupid, cruel things. He didn't have a comeback. Good. By Friday, the whispers in the neighborhood turned into full-on gossip. I caught Grace and another neighbor talking on her porch. They went quiet when I walked by. Harold, Grace said, you know we love you. Oh no, that tone. The same one they use when they ask if you've considered a ramp or a medic alert bracelet. I don't need love with conditions, I said. I need people to stop acting like I'm already buried. She looked away. The final straw came that night. I was sitting in my armchair, flipping through old photo albums, pages full of Kelsey as a baby, Kelsey at graduation, Kelsey after her divorce. And in every photo, me holding her, lifting her, standing beside her. And now she wanted to take away the only thing I had left, the right to choose how I wake up, what I drink, and who I trust. It hit me then. She wasn't saving me. She was erasing me, replacing my messy, imperfect, stubborn self with something neat and silent. I closed the album, set down the tea, and picked up the phone. This is it. The reckoning begins. The moment I stop defending and start fighting back. You've seen. There comes a moment when you stop asking for understanding and start demanding respect. That moment came for me at 7:12 a.m. on a cloudy Saturday, over the sound of a microwave humming and a kettle boiling. I stood in my kitchen with one hand on the counter, the other holding my tea. My dangerous, controversial, world-ending tea. And I thought, they want me quiet, obedient, neutralized, and I'm about to give them the exact opposite. I'd called my lawyer the night before. Not some big shot with a gold tie and fake smile. No, a real one. Old school, grumpy, sharp as a tack. Guy named Earl, whose office smelled like wood polish and rage. Let me guess, he said over the phone. Your family's trying to put you in a corner while calling it a hug? I laughed. How'd you know? You're not the first. That Monday, we walked into the courthouse together. Me in my best jacket. Earl in something that looked like it fought in World War II. Kelsey was already there. Tight dress, tight expression. Josh stood beside her like a human PowerPoint presentation. The hearing was set to evaluate my independence, and I was ready to burn the place down, metaphorically. The judge, mid-60s, glasses low on her nose, looked at me like I was already halfway in the ground. But I leaned forward, cleared my throat, and spoke before anyone could frame me into silence. Your Honor, I said, I'm not here to prove I'm perfect. I forget things. I grumble at my thermostat. I still can't figure out how to unsubscribe from email lists. But I wake up every morning, make my own breakfast, pay my bills, clean my gutters, and help neighbors whose own kids won't return a damn phone call. The judge blinked. I have one vice, one ritual, cup of black tea with lemon. And somehow, that turned into a full-blown custody case. Kelsey opened her mouth. I raised a hand. I wasn't erratic. I wasn't violent. I wasn't a danger to myself. I just said no. No to being treated like a lab rat. No to being monitored. No to being erased from my own life because I dared to grow old without permission. Silence. Josh looked at the floor. Kelsey blinked fast like she might cry but wasn't sure if she was allowed to. I continued. I loved my daughter enough to step aside when she needed space. I supported her through every bad decision, every deadbeat boyfriend, every dream job that turned into a nightmare. I never judged. I showed up. And this is how she thanks me? The courtroom air went still. By trying to take away my last shred of freedom because she read too many articles on WebMD? The judge looked at Earl. He just shrugged, like he's not wrong. The verdict came in fast. Request denied. I was free to live my life and drink whatever I damn well pleased. But that wasn't the end. Later that week, Kelsey came over. No court orders, no forms, no Josh, just her, my little girl, the one I used to carry on my shoulders and spin in the yard until we both fell laughing. She stood at the door with a look I hadn't seen in years. I was scared, she said quietly. You're all I have. And yet, you tried to take me away from myself, I replied. She looked down. I thought if I could manage it, I wouldn't have to face losing you. I sighed. The kind that starts in your spine. I get it, I said. But love isn't about preventing loss. It's about being present, even when it hurts, even when things don't go your way. She nodded. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat at the kitchen table in silence. I made tea. She didn't stop me. After a while, she spoke. I read more. Turns out tea's not that dangerous after all. I raised my mug. To overreactions. She smiled. A real one. To overreactions. Since then, we've found a rhythm. She still checks in too much. I still pretend not to notice. But she stopped trying to fix me. And I stopped assuming she never meant well. Turns out, dignity isn't something you ask for. It's something you claim. Every morning, I wake up. I stretch. I curse at my back. I make my tea. And I sit there, alive, flawed, stubborn, but still me. Growing old doesn't make you less worthy of respect. And if someone tries to take your freedom in the name of love, don't just swallow it. Challenge it. Because even something as small as a morning drink can become a declaration of who you are.